encouraged that we all agree that we have a policy framework, and despite all the problems in the world and the challenges we face, we are making tremendous progress. I am equally encouraged by the fact that we all agree that we need to further reform and defeat the status quo so that we can transform the lives of the people of the weakest and most fragile member nations. And I am most encouraged by the fact that despite the compelling circumstances that have forced us all to meet virtually at a time of one of the gravest epochs of human tragedy, at a time when we all understand that there are going to be many urgent health challenges in the next 2 decades, we have formed a common cause with a renewed determination to work together and ensure that nothing, and simply nothing, can stop us from moving towards universal health care for all. We had a tremendous week of discussions. Let me recall some highlights from our extensive and rich discussions on the agenda placed before us. The draft decision on promoting mental health preparedness and response for public health emergencies will prove beneficial in addressing the mental health aspects of public health emergencies. The tireless efforts made by the member states and WHO in drawing up containment strategies as part of COVID-19 response were recognized and appreciated by the Independent Oversight and Advisory Committee, IOAC. The lessons learnt can be utilized to make course corrections and further build core capacities and strengthen health information systems and reporting mechanisms. I also appreciate your recommendations for a more accountable security apparatus with clear responsibilities at the field, country, regional, and headquarter levels related to the functioning of the WHO Health Emergencies Program. There was also a powerful discussion on the prevention of sexual exploitation and abuse following the update on the Commission's work provided by the Secretariat. The WHO, working together with the United Nations Interagency Group of Implementation Partners, is further refining its approach of zero tolerance towards sexual exploitation and abuse, including reporting and investigation mechanisms and protection of victims. A draft decision, co-sponsored by several member states, was adopted to strengthen collective work in this essential area. I know well that all member states are doing their utmost to overcome challenges and improve the accessibility, affordability, and quality of healthcare services. But the job isn't finished yet. So we must redouble our commitments to put an end to the pandemic. In the present context, nowhere is safe until everywhere is safe. At the WHO, we have to ensure that the low and middle income countries have access to all safe and effective COVID-19 tests, treatments, and vaccines. I have always said that WHO needs to be a trailblazer, working with passion and commitment, wanting to make a difference in the world and being satisfied with nothing less. WHO's commitment to providing transformative experiences for our member nations has been exemplary. The challenges of the post-COVID world are many. For this, we need a new vision that allows this venerable institution to realize its full potential and influence. With renewed commitments that we have made this week, let us pledge to work tirelessly to champion the cause of WHO, to steward its mission, and to strengthen and secure its future.